Well, I can just have a big girl voice. We'll try, okay? I'm curious, how many of you are veggie producers who are considering growing cut flowers? Raise your hands. Raise them high, so I know who we're talking to. Okay. How many of you have been growing cut flowers already? Yeah. How many of you are still thinking about it? Okay. All right. Got them all. Okay. So the good news is I have been the veggie grower, and that's how we came to become a specialty cut flower farm. And we're going into year 4 for us. I spent 5 years in the veggie wilderness before I found this is my true love. And there's so much to flowers. If you're new to flowers, there's a lot. So this is my background. I didn't just fall into this. My background is in production ag. I have worked for ag chemical companies. I've worked for BASF and done plot trials. So soil stuff, bugs, weeds, and fungus, it gets me really excited. And it all applies to flowers too. But then what I love about flowers is there's this whole extra component of how we handle them post-harvest, how we strip them, how we make those flowers last for people, so that we are beating what's at the grocery store. You know, our flowers should last longer than 3 days. We should be getting 7 to 15 days out of our flowers post-harvest. So anyway, that's a little bit about me. And these are my people. I am fortunate in that my kiddos I have one at the Gatton Academy here. We're actually flying to Boston to look at colleges tomorrow. And then I have 2 in college. Well, actually, our son just graduated with his agronomy degree this spring. He may be joining our farm. Yay.
Good news for moments.
Yeah. The kid who 4 years ago, when he heard I was going to change from growing vegetables to flowers, actually said, "That is the stupidest thing I have ever heard. You will never make money growing flowers." And now he's like, "Hey, Mama, I see what you're doing. I might kind of want to join you." Cool. Okay. So those are my people. So why flowers? That's always in there. Flowers are not... I find myself having to stand up in a room in ag and explain why flowers. But having been in that same world with ag on the production side, I never knew this world existed. So that's why I like for people to understand why flowers. It's a huge business. And 80% of the flowers in our country are coming in from overseas. We have the markets. My florists tell me they cannot get flowers like we grow. The quality is there. The vase life is there. A local grower has a huge advantage over what is being shipped in. And so I try to focus on the flowers that don't ship well. That's my niche. Dahlias, anemone, ranunculus, snapdragons even. Of course, zinnias, we'll get to those in a minute. But we have the ability to add value to the stems that they just don't see in the flowers that come in from overseas. Because especially if you as a grower grow it, and we better be able to grow it for less than wholesale, right? If you're not being able to grow it at a cost of production below the wholesale number, then you need to look at your systems. So what I'm saying is you have to know your cost of production. You've got to watch your numbers and understand and know, what is it costing me to grow this crop? This is not a hobby. This is a business. This is production. And if I'm not growing it for less than the price, then I can walk over to the wholesaler and walk in their cooler and buy it, then what are you doing? I am not working that hard to sell flowers for less than wholesale price. And I expect to make a markup on them. So we sell wholesale to florists. I have a flower truck where we retail, and we also do subscription bouquets. I don't do design work. That's not my wheelhouse. I'm a grower. I love growing things. But that's where there's so much opportunity in flowers for others to add value by designing with them. All right, so joy is what I'm growing and selling. All right, so the topic of the speech is my 5 top cut flowers. I do want to throw in for my veggie farmer friends as we go along. There are a few things I wish I had known when we were selling veggies at the farmer's market. Our daughter, one year we put zinnias out and some sunflowers, and we started taking them to the farmer's market, and the little booger, she would sell out of flowers every single week, and there I would sit with all these vegetables. Very demoralizing. And I did all the things wrong with the flowers, so that's why I wish I had known a few things as a veggie grower. There are specific varieties. Don't ever sell a regular sunflower. Don't talk to me about your Dove field sunflowers, okay? Those are not what we sell because of the pollen. We don't want pollen on the tables. We harvest them at different stages. A sunflower should be closed up like this. The minute that those fingers start to lift off the face, that's when we're harvesting. When the first finger comes up off the face, that's when you can harvest them. There's a lot to learn on flowers, okay? We didn't know it then. We were cutting sunflowers that were big and full and wide open and full of pollen, and people were walking away happy, and that's great. People love flowers, but there's a lot to it, and if you want to be a great flower grower, you got to dive in. There's a lot to learn. Okay, so my top 5 flowers. There are people here who grow way better, bigger than I do, but these are my 5, and I really struggled, honestly, to narrow it down to 5. It's like picking a favorite kid. I can't do it. But dahlias are my favorites. I love dahlias. Okay, so not only do they come in many forms, I mean, this tells a lot about me. I had never seen a dahlia when we planted the first few hundred. I can't help it. I go big or go home. So first time I ever saw a dahlia, we had hundreds of them, and we now have thousands. And the more I plant, the more I love them. And other people's reaction to them too. They just don't even look real. They are a wow flower. So do they have the best vase life? No, they don't. And I just tell people that up front. They're not my longest lasting flower. Lisianthus, she lasts forever. But these are so beautiful that they're worth it. They come in many shapes and colors, so they're great for design work. They're the highest dollar stem coming off of our farm. $3 to $5 a stem wholesale is what dahlias should be selling for. If you don't know this, Boston Terminal Market pricing, start there, okay? If you don't know how to price your flowers, look at that. That'll give you some idea. But dahlias are my highest selling per stem price, and so obviously it's like walking out there picking up $5 bills. I like it. And also you can increase your stock. You can either propagate them, so you could like start them early and cut them and propagate and increase your stock that way, or you can divide your tubers. You want to talk about work, digging dahlia tubers, but it is worth it as you build your stock. So for us, we're 3,000 this year. I just come through with the middle buster behind the plow and hit it straight. It kind of tosses them to the side. Then I come back through with the pallet forks on, put them in pallets on crates by colors and sizes. That's probably not the best way to do it, but that's what works for me, okay? I don't have a big crew. It's me most of the time, and hopefully soon my son. So that works. If I was selling the tubers, that would not work because I'd be mixing colors. And so for me, how I'm doing it, it's okay because then I plant them out in the field, and I may have 1 or 2 that get in the wrong basket, but that's good enough. So I love dahlias. That is my #1 girl. They are a Japanese beetle or a thrift magnet. You just got to know that. I mean, if you're organic and you like playing with baggies and organza, that's an option. They can bring disease onto your farm and tubers. You need to be really careful about that and know who you're buying from. And there also can be labor intensive with having to dig the tubers. I have overwintered them successfully under the tarp with the straw, However, this year I wanted to move my location, and so we needed to dig everything. So that's how we did it. All right. So there's kind of a look at what they look like and how we're staking everything. My background as an ag chemical sales rep, I do use a herbicide. I didn't for a couple of years, and my husband had to knock me upside the head, and he was like, "What are you doing? Why are you doing this to yourself?" Because it could not keep up with the weeds. So we've put herbicide down in the middles, and then we come through every week still and hoe, and that is what allows us to not have a weedy mess here. But when we had a weedy mess, we just mowed it. Y'all, it's not perfect. It never is. It's farming. You do the best you can. The weeds are coming though, so you better have a plan for the weeds. All right. So I lumped these two together. My number 2 favorites would be anemone and ranunculus. I wouldn't necessarily recommend that if you're just starting out that either of these two, the dahlias or the anemone ranunculus, those are not like starter flowers, okay? These are another high dollar stem. They would go for $1.80 to $2 a stem wholesale, anemone or ranunculus. Hold on, I'll show you what the ranunculus look like if you don't know. So these are the ranunculus, and then the anemone are the ones with the big like black eye in the middle, right? So these have to be grown under tunnel protection. If you've tried to grow these in your yard, they will sell them to you, people will, but you cannot grow them here without protection. And it's a lot of work. If you follow like on stories, for the last 4 years, I've been growing them in caterpillar tunnels, which are about 4 foot high, and I raise and lower the sides every single day. And last winter I had 12 of those, and it about wore me out. This year I have my first high tunnel, 30 by 96, and then I still have 6 little tunnels, little caterpillars. So they're very labor intensive. They're also very high dollar corms. You know, I've got like $6,000 in corms in my high tunnel. It's a very expensive crop to bring to market, which is why it has to be such a high cost per stem. So this is not one that you just go big on. You play with it a little bit, okay? And figure out if you can grow it. But if you have the protection under tunnels, you can do it here through the winter. You need to know that they're like aphid candy. I mean, the aphids just flock to them. Mid-February, early March, you're going to have to do something for aphids if you're going to have a crop. Nobody wants to buy your flowers covered in bugs. So you're going to have to treat for that. And also supply issues have been an issue with these. You order the corms, and then when they're supposed to ship, they'll tell you that you're not getting them. So kind of hedge your bets and order from a couple different suppliers if you're wanting anemone and ranunculus. They are a fan favorite. I mean, I cannot have enough of these. We sell in the spring. When spring comes, people want flowers. They are dying to get their hands on flowers. And we have anemone in bloom typically from February. It depends how hot and how fast we get. Mid-April. Usually last year we still had some anemone going mid-April. If it gets really hot really fast, we may not have an anemone that long. I lose the ranunculus before I lose the anemone typically. They seem to be a little hardier for me. But the ranunculus are so beautiful. Over and over and over at the flower truck, people, that's their favorite. So those are high dollar stems. All right. Number 3, narcissus. Surprising. I know. Grizz like, what? Not tulips? I know. But here's the thing. Let me make my case for these. They're yellow. But they come in amazing colors. They do. And for me, having started 4 years ago, I planted thousands and thousands of fancy narcissus. Call them narcissus. People won't know what they are. They think they're fancy. Daffodils, nobody wants those. Grandma's got those in their yard. But they don't have these, okay? You're not planting the yellow ones. You're planting these really unique ones. My florists cannot get enough of these double ruffleds or the big cups with the apricots. See, I even put an extra slide on this one because they're so unique. And these, the little mini cheerful ones, their scent is so good in a bouquet. And they come in these little white with that's Sir Winston Churchill, or these are the double cheerfulness, I think, is the variety. Their smell is good. And they're nice in a bouquet. So think of what I have else growing at that time of year. I've got lots of anemone. And so they make like a nice background in a bouquet. I like these. It was a one-time labor of love getting all these dudes planted, thousands of them. But they're coming back now from year to year. So that's kind of nice. You got to have some perennials, build up your woody stock too. So that's why that one's in there. It is a perennial and it's coming back every year. And I've already put the work in. So while it's not a tulip thing, it does have good vase life. And this picture, this slide in particular, shows you like harvest stages. We're harvesting when we look like this, okay? And then you can hold them in the fridge, in the cooler for several days, which gives me time to sell them. Like I said, there's a lot I wish I had known when I was converting from veggies to flowers about stage of harvest, when we're harvesting, to get the best vase life. If you want to grow a lot of these, you've got to have a cooler. And that's why I didn't put tulips on the list. You should not even think about growing tulips if you don't have a cooler, in my opinion. Because you've got to have the cooler to hold them, because they will blow open so fast on you, you could lose your whole crop in one day. For example, this spring, my husband had colon resection surgery. Right in the midst of the busiest weeks for me with flowers. And I was sitting at a hospital all week. And I would come home at night and I would pick as many flowers as I could before I would go back to the hospital. I had tulips. I had a boatload of tulips, but I had them in crates. So I was able to just shove the crates in the cooler. But if I did not have that cooler, I'd have lost those things that have been turned inside out like that in a day because we got hot enough. So that's why I didn't put tulips on here, because I really wanted to try to give you the varieties of flowers that are realistic if you're starting out, that you could do a lot with. This is a good investment, the narcissus. And like I showed you on the pictures, they don't look like your grandma's daffodils.
Do you have a number for the wholesale price on those?
I have to think. I can't remember so well what I get wholesale on those. I'm sorry. All right. She had to be in there. Zinnias. Zinnias are where we started. Anytime someone contacts me and is like, I want to grow flowers, I say, take a year and see if you can grow zinnias, sunflowers, and celosia. And if you still love it, then let's talk. Because those are the training wheels. You've got to be able to grow those. They're a nostalgia flower that people love. There's many varieties. Oh, the Zinderellas, they're amazing when you can get them to do what they're supposed to do. But just know that 20% of the time you'll get that one that looks like Florette's picture. It just is what it is. Easy to grow, question mark. They are a workhorse as a focal flower. They are disease prone, okay? You're gonna get powdery very badly with zinnias. So that's why we plant multiple successions, or we spray a fungicide preventatively. So fungicides don't really work as a curative. Most of the time, there are a few that, okay, you can get some curative fungicides. But most of the time, when we're talking with disease management, it has to be on the front end. If you're going to manage disease effectively, it's as a preventative treatment. For example, in peonies, botrytis, it's coming. You better be spraying. If you want to have harvestable and marketable peonies and not have botrytis, you have to treat preventatively. Whether it's an organic option or a standard chemical, you know that botrytis with peonies is an issue. Japanese beetles love these. It just happens. We just, on a lot of these, I just plant enough that I can share. And then if you see that you're having problems, then we can go in and treat. That's never my first line of defense. I tend to be kind of a low. Things have to want to live at our place, right? I'm busy. I have 3 kids. I have 2 Airbnbs, and I grow flowers. Like, it is a circus. So I'm not out there preventatively treating all the time. But when we need to do it, because this is my job and this is my crop, we do. Zinnias, I didn't know this at the farmer's market. Zinnias are a dirty drinker. They will mess up the water. They stink. We need to put the little tabs in there. All I can think of is CLR tabs. CVBN, thank you. We just put a little CVBN tab in every bucket. That helps with the chlorine and keeping their water clean. And sometimes, you know, people have issues with these melting down. That tends to have to do with how you're handling, how your post-harvest handling is being done, with how clean your buckets are and what things you're putting in there, and if you're putting them in the cooler. I don't put my zinnias in the cooler. They just don't like it. I find that they get the little edging on the tips. Y'all know what I'm talking about? Yeah. I just don't think they like it, so I don't put them in there. All right. I really struggled. I have so many flowers that I love so much, but number 5, I put snapdragons because number 1, I love their form, their shape. And again, we go back to spring flowers. When do I make the most money on flowers? In the spring. People are so hungry for flowers of every color and every type. And snapdragons give you a different shape to go in the bouquets that you may not get from all these other round type flowers that time of year. They're beautiful in a bunch by themselves. And they're really quite easy to grow. So we fall plant. We are again growing them in the caterpillar tunnels. We fall planting them, and then we have spring harvest. But then you can also plant them in early spring and have multiple successions, right? So this is one that you want to have it around all the time, except for in the real heat of the summer is about the only time I don't have those. My florists, they go crazy for our snapdragons because they say that they can't get just the health and the quality of them is so much better than what they can get shipped in. So I would say locally grown is going to be anything they can get wholesale. If you want to go cross-eyed, I start all of my seeds with a toothpick. I know. And these are the teeny tiniest seeds. Save yourself and get the pelleted seeds. It is worth the money. And then plant multiple successions all the way through. All right. I had to put it in there because I love amaryllis, so it's a tiebreaker. Okay? Here's why I love the amaryllis. Number 1, it gives me cash flow into the holidays. When people are dying to buy things, they want to buy things at the holidays. I don't do the greenery. I don't do wreaths. I really love these. And we buy in the biggest bulbs available in the world, and we teach people how to get them to come back from year to year. And maybe is that a bad marketing maneuver on my part? Maybe, because I'm teaching them how to get them to come back from year to year, and they're having great success, and they love them. But do they then look at me as a knowledgeable source for flowers and understand that I want them to be able to grow beautiful things themselves? Yeah, I think so. And that's the other value that you as a local flower grower bring is knowledge. And with amaryllis and paper whites, I don't love paper whites so much. They smell, y'all. They do. And I tell people flat out when they're buying them, if you don't like a fragrant flower, do not buy these. Because they do have a smell. And some people, they love them or they hate them. But the amaryllis are really beautiful. They make amazing gifts, and you're still keeping yourself in front of your customers throughout the season and helping establish yourself as a local expert on flowers. The bad things are you really need a cooler to hold them. If you're going to do this, you still need a cooler because you bring them to a certain point and then you can hold them in the cooler. And the other bad thing is if you're not committed to selling these dudes, like I sell amaryllis and paper whites from the 1st of November until December 24th. Actually, it'll be February 14th. I'm committed to these because they're very expensive to bring in. The bulbs are quite, because we're bringing in the really big ones. Okay, I got 2 minutes left. Other thoughts? Okay, who might have also made my list? Lizzie Anthus, love her. Probably not a great first year flower out of the gate for you, okay? Don't even consider starting it from seed. Buy the plugs when you get there. Always buy the plugs. Eucalyptus, I like eucalyptus. It's a high dollar greenery crop, and it doesn't take a lot of work. And tulips, but I already told you why tulips aren't on the list. There are so many flowers that are amazing that you can start from seed with ease. These are my favorites, but I grow all kinds and I love them all. All right, questions?
You all keep mentioning coolers. Do y'all have a preference of what's a good cooler and what size you need?
I think it depends on what you're growing. Go bigger than you think you need is my advice. Mine's like 8 by 12 walk-in, and I keep adding shelves and racks in it to try to maximize the storage. You don't necessarily want a huge cooler because remember you're having to cool all that space, and if you're not filling it, then it's not efficient. So go to Store It Cold. That's Coolbot's website. They have great resources to show you how to build out your own cooler. Mine, I bought the standalone kind that came in a couple pallets, and we offloaded it and put it together in a day or two because I knew that eventually we will move. Our barn that we're working out of is an old tobacco barn that literally is falling down. After every windstorm, we take the tractor and set it back up on the posts, okay? So at some point, we're going to have to build a real barn, and I know that my cooler has to move. So that's why I have the cooler I have. It sits outside. Maybe someday when we build the real barn, we'll put in a cooler for peonies storage specifically, and then another one for other flowers. Oh yeah, we didn't even talk about peonies. We could just do a whole session on peonies. Yes, ma'am.
So does the temperature in cooler, does that differentiate from different types of flowers that you put in?
Yeah, it does. So I have the plus version on the Coolbot. There's 2 different versions of the Coolbot. I got the one where I can control it from my phone. And control the settings. Certain flowers like certain temperatures. Right now I have tulips in there that are in crates for the winter, so I'm trying to keep them below 40 degrees, like 38, 40 I think. They're hanging out in there. That's how I'm growing my tulips, because that way I know that they're getting the cold that they need. Some other flowers like it a little warmer. In general, in the summer, my cooler's probably at 40. What do y'all run yours at, Erica?
40,
Yeah.
38 to 40.
38 to 40, yeah. My cooler works hard all summer long. That air conditioner unit is running all the time. And mine went out during Lizzie Anthus season this year. Yeah, I had 400 square feet of Lizzie Anthus planted at 6 inches. As a lot of Lizzie, and a local florist here in town has an extra room, and I called. I was like, hey, I'm really sorry. And they're so good to me. And they let me hold them, and I would sell as I went, and kept bringing more. It was a little more than they really meant for me to be doing, but they were good to me.
With your ranunculus, how did you start those, like by seed or something else? And did you shade yours?
whenever you put them,
I shake them.
yeah, did you like give them extra shade?
Oh, shade. I'm sorry. Okay. So they come from corms. They kind of look like spiders. And so I buy the ranunculus corms, and I have not used shade cloth on them because it just got really hot really fast last summer, and there really wasn't much time to do it. They just yellowed off and died. But yes, you can try shade cloth over them to extend the season. Yes, ma'am.
Do you have a favorite reference book or a place that you go to get all? I feel like
Where to buy your stuff from? Yeah. Okay, so when you're first getting started, as far as technical growing information, Johnny's website's awesome. Johnny's has great stuff. I use it all the time. I'm set up. If you're going to run a business, here's my TED Talk for the day. If you're going to run a business, set it up and run it like a business. So get your EIN, get all your numbers so that you can buy wholesale. This isn't a game. We're not playing. We're not running to the Walmart and buying things or Hobby Lobby. You're running a business. So get your wholesale number so you can buy wholesale. Because otherwise you're never going to be able to produce at the cost you need to produce to make money unless you're buying it at the lower cost. So then once you've got that number, all kinds of things open up to you. You can buy from Ball, ADR bulbs, Leo Burby, what's his name? Awnings, Hank. Yes, thank you. Hank is it's great. So these are the places that you need to be buying. You're not buying from Brex or those online consumer-oriented locations to buy your bulbs and your product.
in regard to a reference of timing and cutting and this and this, and you need to add this for this, and
Join the hold on. All right. There's some of our stuff. There's the flower truck. There's the cooler with an amaryllis and tulips both in there. Okay, books. Okay, there's the books. Join the Association of Specialty Cut Flower Growers. It is the best money you will spend. Get your phones out and get your references. Online courses from the Gardener's Workshop. So the very first course I took, I paid for the Floret course. If you know anything about anything, you can probably just keep that couple $1,000s in your pocket. And join the ASCFG. Or take some of Lisa Mason Ziegler's courses. Those are good. If you have an agriculture background, there's a lot of this that's available to you. You don't need to pay someone else for pretty pictures. Okay? The market gardener, that applies. Veggies, flowers, all of it. There's also a record-keeping book by Richard Wiswall. If you're into production and you're into numbers and you want to run a business, the Organic Growers Handbook or something, it's Richard Wiswall. It is the standard in veggies and really should be in flowers too, because it is all about what I was saying, running a business. It's really easy with flowers, y'all, to get intoxicated with the photos and the beauty of it, but you don't want to work this hard and not make money. I am a farmer. I am a grower, just like my neighbor who grows beef cattle and my other farmer down the road who grows row crops, okay? So you have to know your numbers and you have to run it like a business. To me, that's been the hardest thing over the last 3 and 4 years, is learning to run a business and grow all the beautiful flowers. Thinking like a business person and learning to understand all that. There is a lot to this. And I absolutely love it. And I'm so grateful that y'all would be interested to hear what we have to say. And I thank you for offering for me to speak, Kristen. Thank you.
Yes, y'all give her a round of applause.
Thank you.
One in a million. I took the liberty to go over